Good morning. This is Andy Furman, Chair of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Council. It is Thursday, May 27th at 8:17 a.m. Before we call the meeting to order and take a roll call, I will read the governor's statement regarding open meeting. Live broadcast can be heard on www.northandovercam.org. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing a strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Council will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to hear the meeting may do so by tuning into nacam.org or on their television via Comcast or Verizon. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording or proceedings as soon as possible. At this point, I will call the meeting to order and we'll move to a roll call for attendance. Kevin Driscoll.
Here.
Peter Breen. Dan Moore.
Here.
John Herteg.
Here. Good morning.
Holly Williams. Okay, John's present. Holly.
John present. Sorry, trying to unmute.
Yep. Fortunately, Holly, this is the last time I think we need to do this. Jenna.
I'm here. Good morning.
Morning, Jenna. Larry. Alan. Terry Holland.
Here.
Morning, Terry. Rick Gorman.
Morning.
Present.
Demi.
Here.
And we have D. Casey as well. Have I missed anybody? All right. Before we get going with the agenda, I do want to take a moment and just thank all of our friends at North Andover CAM for everything that you've done to make all of our meetings, all of the community's meetings, available to the public, and for everything that you do for our friends at the Youth Center and across our community. Thank you very much to North Andover CAM and to Brian and his team. I sent out with the agenda a copy of the April meetings. Do we have any, can I take a motion to accept those meetings?
Motion to accept.
Seconded
Holly
by,
Williams. Sorry.
do we have a second?
Second from Jonathan.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. All right. Rick, do you want to go right into your director's report?
Sure, let's do that. Good morning, everybody. I also want to echo what Andy said to Brian and his crew. They have done a phenomenal job, not just with the meetings since September, and this will be our last one, but they have been along with us every step of the way since last summer in terms of supporting our things. The most recent thing, obviously, is they actually videotaped the entire scholarship night. So big kudos to Brian and everybody affiliated with NATV. And the silver lining is we're going to even do more with NATV as we continue to navigate post-pandemic. But great job, Brian, and everybody there. So I did want to start off with reminding everybody, if you're available, Youth Appreciation Day, the 32nd annual Youth Appreciation Day, is being held tonight. We have beautiful weather. Glad it's today instead of yesterday, so it's going to be about 78 degrees. We will be outside on our basketball court. We felt with the numbers of kids we're having that we definitely wanted to do it outside. Obviously, we're dealing with physical distancing, and that we're still under our pre-5/29 guidelines. So that will take place tonight, 6 o'clock. So if you are in the area and want to come by, the presentation is 6 to 8. The big work gets done between like 6 and 7. We will be obviously congratulating all of the kids that have volunteered for us for the last 12 months. We'll actually be talking about how the 12 months is something that this is going to stick with every one of these kids because they helped navigate everything for us. And then we will be presenting a number of major awards named after people that had done a lot in the past with the youth center. So we'll spend a little time. I really encourage all the kids to listen as I tell why we give this award and who that person was. And then each one of my staff will be presenting a number of the awards to the individuals. And then after that, we have our guest speaker. And this year it's a former kid who was 25 years ago, was sitting in the same chair that they'll be sitting in tonight. And that's Nick Savarese, who's the executive director of the Doug Flutie Autism Incorporated. And they're basically also donated today a communication board that we hung at Drummond Park yesterday in memory of Linda Perry. So we're actually going to have a little presentation afterwards with the Perry family, but it's going to be nice. Nick will have a message to all of the kids. What's always nice with these speakers is they all can relate when they actually sat there as kids. So it's going to be a nice night. And then we give out, we wish we could give a lot more, but we have some token gifts for everybody. And then due to this generosity every year of Terry Holland and Stacci's Pizza, we have a box lunch for every kid to kind of either hang out or some will take it to go. But it'll be a really nice night. So if you can come around, be there we do start sharp at 6 o'clock. So try to get there right away. And again, it's on the outside court. My college staff will be checking everybody in. So we have a record of who's there and temperature checks and things like that. So it will be a good night. And obviously, if you remember last year, we had to do a virtual activity with our speaker, and then we had to actually hand deliver all of the gifts to every kid in town, and then we had to have the award winners come in individually to get their award and take the pictures. So this will be nice. I'm glad we were able to do what we did last year, but this is going to be back to somewhat normal. So that's tonight at 6 o'clock. I did want to recap what I mentioned a few minutes ago about the scholarship night. Thank you for all that were able to come by. If you were able to see the whole thing, I think this is why Holly's committee and myself has decided this is the direction we're going to go. We will no longer be doing the Youth of the Year and the scholarship winners at the auction. We're going to have their separate night for that. It was a beautiful night. Kudos and thanks to all the people at Stevens Estate, Joe Fish, Kaylee Monroe's Balloons, Mike Holland Flowers. We actually had a really nice night. I've heard from every one of the kids and the parents. I'm totally blown away about the festivities. And if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. As I said, Brian filmed the whole thing. We actually screened it this week. Came out great. It has already been on NATV. We're in the process of working with Brian and Bill Roberts to actually get it so we can put it up on our YouTube channel also. But it's a really nice night. And if you haven't heard Avon Samanik's speech, you need to spend 10 minutes listening to it. I think it epitomizes why we do what we do. It epitomizes the fact of how this youth center affects kids. And we've had great Youth of the Year every year, but I think Demi will attest, Ava's speech might have been the best we've ever had. So if you get a chance when it's up, either on NATV or when we get it up, we'll send you the link. But if you weren't there, you should definitely check it out. So big thanks to that. All right, so guidelines.
Sorry, I had to take a call. So we talking about the night shine or the night?
Yeah, we talked about the scholarship night last week.
Oh my God, that was amazing. You guys did an incredible job. Andy, great speech. It was just the best night. So sorry, I had to put my 2 cents in.
Thank you, Dee. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about guidelines. So, everybody in town thinks they're an expert on guidelines, and everybody thinks that the world has now totally gotten better and we have to forget everything that happened, which is not true. What other people need to understand is recreation camps, programs like mine do not fall in just the general guideline changes. They also don't take into consideration that we need to think of everybody, not just one person's personal views. So we've been doing a really good job with social media getting this out. So we did a video last week. Nothing has changed at the youth center until this Saturday. So, things kind of came out at us fast, town-wide, school-wise, youth center-wise. So we have been operating up until the 29th, the way we've been doing it all year. And again, big kudos to our kids who have no issues with the guidelines. It tends to be parents that have more issues with the guidelines. So luckily I work with kids and together we get it done. So on the 29th, which is Saturday, we are adjusting our guidelines according to state guidelines for the remaining 2 weeks of the spring session. What will that mean? It will mean that any kid who comes to our program will no longer have to wear a mask outside, and no staff member who's fully vaccinated, which at this point for our spring staff, full and part-time, everyone is 100% vaccinated. They will not be able to have to wear masks outside. Anytime they come into the building for a program, use the bathrooms, snack time, whatever it may be that they're coming into the building for, they will have to wear a mask. So we're encouraging parents to remember that masks should always be brought with kids in their bag or whatever. We will be following that guideline for the last 2 weeks. None of our other guidelines are changing. We will still be doing health screenings. We will still be operating the cohorts because the cohorts were for the spring session. So we will continue those programs. One thing that we do not need to require anymore, if anybody goes to their mountain house in Vermont or their beach house or whatever out of state, there's no longer a requirement to have a negative test before they can come back to our programs. So we're pretty excited about that. So we will finish. The only thing that's going to change is outside masking, which I think is applauded by everybody, and it'll be good to see. And when we celebrate our last group that got us through the year, the spring staff, I think it's quite ironic is when we do that team picture that'll hang with the summer, the fall, and the winter, they will not have their masks on this time, which will be the first time in a year, which I think is absolutely pretty cool. All right, so that brings us up to the end of the spring. On Friday, very high level meeting between Dee Casey, myself, and Brian LaGrasse from the health department. We will be finalizing our guidelines for the summer. I caution the community, I've already said this, do not assume you know what those guidelines will be or assume what they won't be, okay? Because again, we follow along very different thing than the general public in terms of camping programs, recreation programs. So on June 1st, I will be presenting to the town what it is. And at this point, it's looking like kids and staff are not going to have to wear masks. So that's the big thing. But a lot of the same things we just talked about will play in place. I will make sure this council on June 1st gets the updated guidelines so you yourself know, in case that parent down the street wants to talk to you about what the youth center's guidelines are, you'll at least know what's going on with that. So very exciting things coming up here, and obviously we head into the summer. So we finish our spring on Friday, I think it's June 11th, and then we start Monday, the 21st, we kick off everything with the summertime, and it is going to be crazy. The week in between, we'll be doing a lot of training with our summer staff and getting everything ready. The summer programs are almost all sold out. Believe me how fast they sold out. There are still a few spots left for our Girl Got Game program, but we're very excited. They have almost a third more than they've ever had already, but we still have about 15 spots left in that. All the other sites are sold out, and we're still getting people that just I guess they're just checking in saying they want to sign their kid up for a summer program. Not necessarily sure they're where they've been the last 2 months, but it is already sold out. We've got a couple of minor programs that have a couple more spots, but very excited about the summer. Do want to give an update on the concerts and the children's shows. They are back. There will be less guidelines than we originally thought in April. That will be a separate meeting when Melissa gets back from vacation with myself, Dee, and Brian, just because we're going to have to really look at what the total amount of numbers that can be on the common at that point. But 2 months ago, the guidelines we thought we were going to have are pretty much out the window. So that's exciting also. Stevens Pond, obviously sales are really going brisk on that. I'm excited. Next Tuesday, DPW will be finishing the site work, and on Wednesday, the playground is arriving, and they will be over the next week constructing the playground. My crew, along with DPW, has been cleaning up the area and getting everything ready for the summer. So Stevens Pond is up and going. Again, we will have some guidelines at Stevens Pond, but less than we had last year. So we're going to have as normal of a possible summer as we can have. We're very excited about our new additions down there for the water quality and stuff. So again, Stevens Pond will be great with that. Couple other things I do want to let people know is we are doing a quick slideshow video pretty much to encapsulate the 1 year anniversary of how we defied every odds. So through our incredible social media, we have probably 1 million pictures since last June. That is going to be put into a slideshow with the background being our Beats program is doing a musical background to it. And we're actually going to show this to the community once we finish our spring session in about another 2 weeks. And I think it'll be a real good documentary of that the obstacle was the way and whatever it takes, that we were actually able to accomplish something that most other communities didn't even dare try, never mind complete. So we'll make sure you get that also. Big day at the youth center yesterday. Jenna Sideri is probably the only one that can remember this. When we actually lived in a trailer for a year, Jenna was one of our high school workers. Remember Jenna? Well, that tree that used to overhang the trailer is now taken down. And we lost a huge pine yesterday. So the sunniest court in the Merrimack Valley just got sunnier. But I'm very happy to report, Demi was very concerned that our little sapling that we planted, because we need more trees, that was run over by the crane, the trucks, and everything else yesterday. We took a picture of the sapling last night at 5 o'clock, and it survived. So I'm working with DPW as part of the long-term Amazon negotiations with the town. We are going to have some new trees planted here eventually as part of the Amazon work. So I guess I won't be here when we see them fully grown, but we are planting some trees on that. So pretty excited of what the site looks like. Again, it's sunnier, but those trees had to go. One was struck by lightning and the other one was diseased, which could have caused a real safety problem on that. So Steve Foster represented the youth center at the old committee in the old center, which looks at renovations and stuff. We're trying to do some clapboard work, and the question was to possibly do some vinyl siding on the back of the youth center. That was rejected. So we're back to square one on some of the clapboard work we have to do. Nothing really new on the expansion of the youth center yet. That's kind of a little bit put on hold here. And I'll be updating the board as we go along with that. I do want to let you know that the town is in the school department and us and the police department are bringing back the parent resource network, which was something that was very impressive over the years and then actually kind of fizzled out about 5 years ago. And that's to bring more resources to our parents with, meetings, once a month trainings, live webinars, recorded things. And we've already talked about a lot of the subject matter that we want to talk about. John Herzig, I brought up what you and I have been talking about. So they'd like to have a conversation with you and I on that also. So I'm pretty excited that we'll partner with the school department, the police department, and this new committee, or the revitalized committee of the Parent Resource Network. And it's just to provide more services to our parents as we continue to go through all of the crazy stuff we're going through. So that is pretty much a quick recap of everything. I see a question from Jenna regarding the Stevens Pond Playground. At this present time, Jenna, it will be open for the summer with the summer Stevens Pond. So you'd have to have a permit at Stevens Pond to use the playground. I have actually talked to John Herzig, and not that John Herzig loves playgrounds, but he lives close to it. And obviously his kids, we are talking about post-closure of the pond, how residents could have access to the playground. Still undecided on that right now, but I'd have to work with the town on that. But we do have that on the agenda on that. So I'll take any questions that anybody has on anything.
Why were the, sorry, Rick, why were the clapboards and repairs to the back of the youth center rejected if they're necessary?
Yeah, because Steve and the town had felt that we might go with some kind of a siding instead of the clapboards. And I knew that was going to be a little bit of fight because technically half our building falls into the jurisdiction. And I just think they don't believe, if you look at the houses in this area, they don't really believe in they don't believe in siding. So I think they said we have to come back with new alternatives. I'm not really an expert on that, so I'm deferring to Steve Foster on that. So that's why it was. I was not surprised when I heard about the rejection this morning.
Okay.
Rick, how are you doing with sponsorship for the common shows?
Yeah, we it's coming in. We got 2 grants, a $1,000 grant and a $500 grant from the cultural councils. A former kid, Mike Comerford, who's become quite successful in the realty business. He has sponsored, he donated $1,100 to sponsor 1 Sunday night show and 1 children's show. And then we have about 6 other companies, including St. Michael's Church, which donated $500. So we're going to do a second go of it with what the money we had from last year, plus the money we're bringing in this year with the things I just said. I think we're going to be fine this year. Obviously working with our finance director, Lynn Savage. It's not just about getting through this year. We have to have a long-term plan to make sure we have enough money every year. Remember, we did not have Brooks skating this year. So we will put a second call out to our businesses, trying to be sensitive that Holly's golf tournament for the Joseph N. Herman, we don't want to kind of go at the same people that are donating twice. So it's funny, the checks come in and I'll look at one check and you can tell it's the Joseph N. Herman. Then you look at the number and it's definitely the Joseph N. Herman. And then I get the other checks and it's, more smaller donations, but we appreciate it. So we're going to be good and we will continue. A couple of,
Rick,
yeah.
not to interrupt you. So I do have the spreadsheet of all of our donors, and there's a lot who either didn't reach out to this year because of the pandemic in their business, and some that just didn't respond. So I'm happy to sit down and go over with you our typical larger donors that did not respond to do anything for the golf tournament that may be interested for children's shows or the concerts.
Why don't you coordinate it with Demi and Jen? Jen Battersby is actually coordinating this for me here. Yeah, that'd be great. We can reach out to a few other people.
Yeah.
Jen has been out hounding a couple of people, so I'm sure a few more checks will come in.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Other questions?
Hey, Rick, is there any update on the middle school construction with the abutters?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Dan. Good news. So our legal department has been moving forward. We've won certain parts of the original case. We're still in litigation on other stuff, but all I can say is it's going to happen. It's just actually will. I feel better today, Dan, than I felt 4 months ago. And our legal department's doing a great job, obviously, along with Dee and Melissa. And our hope, and again, optimistic, but our hope is that we will be putting a shovel in the ground next spring. We're going to end up about a year and a half behind schedule from where we were hoping. We have a piece to pick up on that once things get okay, because the Fields group part of is responsible for raising some money for that also. So we'll have to start working on that now. I would say optimistically, I said spring of 2022, and then you're talking about a year-long process. So 23, we could see, and again, this is going to be a phenomenal, it'll be the best field project we've ever done. So bear with us. Again, we're still working with the abutters and obviously the people that are litigating against us. But I think at the end of the day, we will come to some compromise and get stuff done.
Well, thank you. And I always was wondering to ask this, is there anything that you would like us board members to do besides what we're doing? Can we help out in any other way?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Dan. I actually have talked to Andy about this. Actually, some Andy's predecessors too, is I think we need to probably take a look at the job responsibilities of the board. I think we're getting into a little bit of a funky stage where the meeting is like Rick presenting, Holly presenting, everyone saying good job, and then we kind of wrap it up till the next month. I think there are some people on the committee that do things behind the scenes. Peter Breen's not the most technologically savvy person, so he's not on these calls, but he's doing some stuff with the building. Terry Holland's doing a tremendous a lot with me working on his role with the community preservation and obviously some of the other stuff. Each one of you, like I mentioned, John Hertig is trying to help me with some programming literally around some drug issues. So I think we probably need to formalize that stuff a little bit and then kind of take a look at, is there certain things and certain expertise? Dan, you and I have talked about this. There's certain things that each one of you bring to the table that we probably need to access more. So I would like, Andy, over the summer, I think you and I need to sit down and kind of talk about that a little bit and then have a little bit of a different vision in the September for this board. And again, that's not saying none of you are doing anything. That's not what I'm getting at. I just sometimes sit there and say, geez, are we wasting people's time? We've got really talented people on the committee. How do we access their expertise so we're a little bit more, not just Rick giving us an update? And that was always my problem going back 2 decades, that we used to have it at Nancy's restaurant on top of the scales, and everyone would have breakfast. Everybody would order the bacon and eggs. Rick would talk, finish eating, slap me on the back and say, see you next month. And I never thought that was really how we want to do things. I think over the years we've done a lot. So I want to get back to that a little bit more. So Andy, to Dan's point, I think you and I need to have a conversation. And then I think you need to have a conversation with the board without me and Demi on that. And come up with some ideas. I don't think it's broke. I just think we gotta evolve a little bit.
Yeah, I think at one point we're heading down that direction. We kind of gotten sidetracked over the last, I'd say, 2 years. So I'll get something on the calendar with you, Rick.
Great.
Any other questions or any other comments?
Dee.
I think she's in the
For
comments.
some reason, her mic stopped working. She wanted to comment that the town is also working with Waterfield on the bid documents. So when the lawsuits are settled, the town will be ready to go out to bid immediately and get the project rocking. Rocking is all caps with an exclamation point, 2 exclamation points.
Great news, Dee.
Awesome. With that, before I take a motion to adjourn, again, I just want to thank
Andy,
Cam for everything.
excuse me, I do think we want to turn it to Holly about the golf tournament.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
You beat me to it, Rick. The golf tournament is, I think, 10 days from today on June 7th. We've had a great response. Thank you for all here that have donated and or agreed to golf at the event. We are shaping up to be NAC's biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest golf tournament that NAC has had, with 100, we're at 92 golfers right now. We have 12 spots left. So if you know anybody who's looking for a spot, or likes to golf, please reach out to them. We only have the 8 o'clock time slot open, and I actually have a foursome waiting to golf in the 1 o'clock time spot. So we have a waiting list for 1 o'clock. And
I have another foursome for the 1 o'clock too, Holly, on the waiting list.
I think we have the same person, I'm guessing.
Okay.
So we can talk offline. In any case, so 8 a.m. we have 3 spots, and it's shaping up to be great, and exceeded all expectations by myself and every board member in terms of funds raised. So it's been great. We're going to have pole sponsors. We have beverage sponsors, lunch sponsors, longest drive, golf cannon, closest to the pin. So there'll be lots of prizes, boys and girl prizes. So I think it's going to be a really great day. We just all have to pray for good weather because it is rain or shine. And we also have some great swag bags. So I think it's going to be an awesome event, and I'm really psyched for it. I'm psyched that the board was able to come up with an idea. It's not my idea. It was Peter Radulski's, as far as I know, to keep something kind of the momentum going with fundraising. So I'm thrilled. And I will throw it out there that Demi and I also toured a new facility to move the Night to Shine for next year. So those motions, plans are already in motion. And that date is March 26th of 2022. So mark your date for the DoubleTree in Andover. And that'll be our big comeback for the Night to Shine. So I'm really excited. And the event is venue's even bigger. So I'm hoping we can even fill that space. But really excited for March 26, 2022 for the DoubleTree in Andover. We did switch venues because Burroughs is no longer available. So just if there's a question as to why we're switching venues. And quite frankly, there's no other facility that's big enough to host our event locally, because I have looked into it. If there is a question, there you go. So that's kind of the short and skinny of it. Any questions, please feel free.
Dee is looking for someone to help teach her how to golf.
I can certainly hook you up with our pro at our club. He is great. I am not the one you want to teach you, because you will get every bad habit I have, which is everything you can do wrong in golf.
I think, Holly, we should get Dee hooked up with Meg Karen, who's now become quite the golfer. And she's got a group of women that are golfing all the time. So she would be a great hookup for Dee. So
yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Rick.
Andy, I did forget one thing I'd like to throw out right now, just because it's something pretty special. So Jenna's husband, Anthony Staderi, proprietor of Restoration Barbershop, and Chris Rowan, who's a North End of a fireman. They have started a program that they're doing on their own time this summer. Both Anthony and Chris were part of a program back in the 90s that I ran called the Young Men's Group. And they're actually going to keep the name. And what they're targeting is 10 seventh grade boys, which we think we have the 10 targeted. And they're going to be 2 days a week. They will be meeting with Anthony and Chris throughout summer for 6 weeks. Then Anthony and Chris have committed to track this group of seventh grade boys through their 12th year at the high school. And they will meet with these kids. I'm so psyched about this. Anthony and Chris are working, and obviously Jenna's helping them a little bit behind the scenes with the organizational piece, because my boys aren't the most organized guys, but they have come up with really nice plan on how to meet the needs. And it's their way of giving back to the community that did a lot. And they want to bring back the thing that they remember, which was the YMG. They have in turn connected with a bunch of other guys that have come through my program that will then take a group the next year, the next year, and the next year. So right now it looks like we have 3 groups that would committed for the next 3 seventh grades to basically track these kids through their 12th year at high school. Each one of these kids were kids that probably fell in the same category as some of the kids when they were younger. They're all extremely successful, which never surprised me. And this is a way, if this kicks off the way I think it's going to be, this will be a program that will be envied by every community. I'm guaranteeing it. So big shout out. Thank you, Jenna, for helping also. But Anthony and Chris will be debuting it. And I think, Chris, a North Andover fireman. Anthony's a business owner in North Andover. They bleed black and red, and they bleed kids. So I think it's going to be a really good thing. So I just wanted to mention it.
Awesome. We'll look forward to watching that program, and many accolades to both Anthony and Chris. Thank you. Any other items, Rick?
I'm all set.
All right. I just want to take a quick minute. Thank the Joseph N. Herman Board for the scholarships, for putting on the evening last week. That was fantastic. It was, I think, the first public event that any of us have been to. I want to thank Denise and Melissa and everyone else from the town for all the support they've provided the youth center. And like I noted last week, I think it's important to give praise to our kids. They've done a fantastic job. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So Andy, before you take the motion, I just want to confirm the next meeting, which will be the last one of the school year, will be held at the youth center, but not in the conference room. It'll be in the multi-purpose room, which will allow more, spaced out. We'll have our full committee, and obviously it'll be a public meeting. So if somebody wants to come, we want to be able to have it. So when you come up to the second floor, don't go to the conference room, go directly to the multi-purpose room.
And that meeting is June 17th, I believe.
Yes, we needed to move it up a week because our summer programs start on the 21st.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Our next meeting is going to be in person in the multi-purpose room, and June 17th, 8:15. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
By Holly, seconded by Jenna. Raise your hand. Seconded by Jenna. All in favor? Raise your hand. Awesome. We've completed a year of virtual meetings. Congratulations. Thank you to all. Motion meeting to adjourn at 8:54. Have a great day, everyone. See you in June.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.